All right, welcome to Chapter 11. Chapter 11 is all about integers, and we're going to begin with Lesson 11.1, and the Lesson 11.1 is comparing integers, and we're going to talk about what integers, oops, I'm sorry, I just spelled that wrong, integers, there we go. We've compared and ordered fractions, and we've compared and ordered decimals, and now we're going to compare and order integers. And integers are simply numbers such as negative numbers and positive numbers. So we could have a negative 5, we could have a negative 4, we could have a negative 3, we could have a negative 2, a negative 1, it includes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically counting numbers that are both negative and positive. And of course, the numbers that are in the negative, we call those negative integers. And you need to write this down in your yellow folder. So if you don't have your yellow folder handy or a piece of paper handy, stop and pause and get that together for you, for yourself. And so again, back to our integers, we have our negative integers, and we have our positive integers. And of course the negative integers are on to the left of 0, and the positive integers are of course to the right of 0. Alright, and then another way to display integers is very commonly is to use a number line. So we're going to take our straight edge and we're going to draw a number line, and oftentimes you'll see integers on a number line like this. And we're going to put 0 in the middle, and we're going to kind of evenly space out. And again, if you need to stop and pause this video, do that so you can get a ruler to do this. And so we're going to say that this is our positive side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're just going to go up to 5, and this would be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5 on the left-hand side of 0. And when we say integers, for example, like this negative 5, we don't say minus 5 because that kind of gets confused with subtracting. So we're going to say negative 5, or a negative 3, or a negative 1. And then counting numbers, sometimes people refer to them as a positive 1, 2, 3, and so on. Other words that refer to integers, that when they don't maybe say integers, but they refer to integers, are things like if you hear about somebody, if there's an increase in the score. So write these other words, because these other words are words that are kind of a heads up that we're going to be using integers, positive or negative. So you might hear a word like increase would be a positive integer. If the temperature is above 0, it's a positive integer. If let's say for example you babysit or you do a job and you have earned extra money, you have a profit, okay? And once you've taken out maybe all your expenses, that kind of thing. And then some words that we associate kind of negatively with the negative integers are, for example, if you have a decrease in something. Maybe you have a decrease in your allowance or a decrease in Viking Challenge points. Those would be in the negative side. And then, for example, if we have the word like below, like we would say below 0, that means, of course, we're going below 0 and the temperatures are cold. If you have a loss of money, maybe you have to pay for something that you've broken, that would cause a loss of money to yourself. Or if you took money out of a savings account to maybe buy something, it would be it would make your savings account balance decrease. Now, the integers sometimes, for example, certainly, like I said, certain situations. Again, if we have a profit, we call those positive ones. In sports, if you, like in football, if you went for a loss of yards or loss on the play, that would be a negative integer. And let's say if you lost 3 yards in the play. You'd say a loss of 3 yards, and that's a negative integer. Now we're going to go on to some other examples. Sometimes too we're going to you're going to hear this word opposites. So let's write that down. This is something you probably haven't come across a lot, but when we have our number line and we move to the right and left on our number line, when two numbers are opposite of each other, they are basically the same distance from 0. So opposite numbers are the same, write this down, same distance from 0. So copy that down. Opposites are the same distance from 0. So for example, if we have the integer 2, the opposite is a negative 2. Since 2 is 2 to the positive, a negative 2 is 2 to the negative. So it's again equal distance from 0 is what an opposite is. And of course, if we have a, let's say we have a negative 5, and the opposite, of course, of a negative 5 would be a positive 5. So again, it's the same distance from 0 is what an opposite means. Now we're going to go through some examples that you're going to see in your assignment today, and so I'm going to have you turn to page 535 in your book. So page 535. And some examples you're going to see are using integers. We're going to say for number 1, for example, we want to find the opposite of 9, the integer 9. Well, we don't have it on this number line up here because our number line is not quite long enough, but if we were over here to positive 9, the opposite or same distance from 0 on the negative side would be of course, a negative 9. I'm going to box that in because that's our answer over there. On number 2, we are going to, if we wanted to find the opposite of negative 1, well, negative 1 from 0, when we go to the opposite side, positive 1 from 0 would be the same distance. I think you kind of probably get the idea there. Now I'm going to skip down to number 4, and we're going to compare integers. And so let's copy this one down. It's a negative 7 and 0, and we want to know which one is the bigger number. And of course, since negative 7 is below 0, it's on the minus side, we're going to, we know that that is less than 0. So 0 being even. And if I said that for number 5, for example, we have a negative 2 and we have a negative 6. If we're comparing those two integers, well, negative 2 means that you are kind of like 2 in the hole, or 2 below 0. And if you're a negative 6, you're further below 0, which is even less. So even though 6 is a bigger number, and we're talking about integers, negative integers, 6 is definitely less than negative 2. One more example of that before we move on. Number 6, we have 8, and then we have a negative 9. And 8, of course, is over here on our number line on the positive side, and then we have negative 9 way over here if it was written down. But again, that's way opposite, way on the other side, and of course a negative is always less than a positive, even though the digit might be bigger. Going on to number 7, sometimes you're asked to put integers on a number line, and then you put them in order from smallest to greatest. So we're going to do that right now. I'm going to go on to the next page because I'm kind of running out of space here. Again, pause the video if you need to give yourself some time to get everything in order. So let's take and draw a number line. Use your straight edge, of course, and let's put 0 in the middle. We're going to keep our numbers relatively slow here, or relatively small. But let's go on to, we're going to do problem number 7 together here. So we are going to look at problem number 7, and our biggest, the largest negative number is a negative 9, and our largest positive number is 7. So that's as far as we need to make our number line. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. on the positive side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the negative side. And there's our negative 9. And then if we take a look at number 7, our choices were a negative 3, a 2, a 7, a negative 9, and a 0, and we wanted to put all those numbers on the number line. And so we could see the order of them from smallest to largest. So if we have our negative 9 and we have our positive 7, and then we also have a negative 3, so 1, 2, 3, negative 3, and then 1, 2, positive 2, and of course 0 is already marked. So if you're putting them in order from smallest to largest, we can very, very easily see that negative 9 is the smallest number, negative 3 comes next, and then 0, and then 2, and then of course 7. And we can box that in to set that apart. Now we're going to do one more of that just to make sure that we are understanding that concept correctly. I'm going to skip to number 9. And number 9, we're asked to put negative 9, 0, negative 2, negative 3, and negative 5 on a number line. And so since our smallest number is negative 9 and our largest number is 0, we don't have to have the whole number line. We don't have to put in more things than we need here. So if we draw our number line, I'm going to put in, actually I put 0 kind of over closer to this side because I don't really need a lot of positive numbers. There's no positive numbers listed here. So I'm going to just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and stop right there because I don't need to go any further. So our smallest number is a negative 9. 0 we already have marked. Negative 2, 1, 2, so negative 2, mark that one. Negative 3 right next to it. And then negative 5 would be right down there. And then of course putting those into order from smallest to largest, we can very easily see that we have a negative 9, negative 5, negative 2, and 0. And we box that in. Now let's skip to number 10. Number 10 is a story problem, and we're talking about a scuba diver. And the scuba diver is 12 feet below sea level. And then we have a second scuba diver that's 25 feet below sea level. And so we want to write integers to represent the diver's position relative to sea level. Well, this time basically our question is we want to write the integers. And it always works to draw a picture. So if we have this, okay, we have sea level here. We're just going to draw a little picture of sea level. And we have this first scuba diver is going down, let's say 12 feet. So let's just kind of like put this little box here. And we're going to say this is 12 feet down for that scuba diver. And then we have another scuba diver that is 25 feet below. Actually, this is 25, so about double that, actually. A little bit more than double. And this scuba diver is 25 feet below. Now, in order to show that properly, again, this is sea level, we want to make sure that's negative because they are negative. They're down in the water below sea level. So negative 12 feet below and a negative 25 feet below. So we want to box that in. That would be a good representation of the two divers being, one being negative 25 feet below and the other one being a negative 12 feet below. So again, always draw a diagram when you can. All right, our assignment's going to be on page 535, and you'll get that at school.